I just got back from a Gamblers Anonymous meeting last week. And the first guy gets up there and says, wow, I had to come back in because I'm thinking about betting preseason football. But that's right around the corner, and the temptation will be dangling out there. And I'm sure the FanDuel people would love to tempt you into thinking that this was something you could make a score on. I don't know that it is. And the man who would probably be on the opposite side of that argument joins us right now from outkick.com. And, of course, Monster when it comes to any kind of NFL inside information. He's the number one guy. Mr. Jason Cole joins us here on the program. Jason, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. I always thought that betting on preseason football is, without question, the lowest form of degeneracy.
You're talking to our audience here. That's saying a lot. We were betting Korean baseball during the pandemic. Yeah.
Knowing the audience for this show, I think that proves that.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
You do have to consider the professor to be extremely innovative, that he came up with Korean baseball during the pandemic. And also, that's when he fell in love with Aussie rules football, which was kind of a scourge for the sports fan in the original days of ESPN. You were just barely coming out of the womb then, right? 1983, somewhere in there. When did ESPN start? 1980, 79?
Like late 70s officially is when it became around. I don't know if it was actually a thing of the 80s.
First time I saw it was when I moved to Florida. Actually, I hadn't come all the way south. I had driven in one day from, I believe, somewhere in Arizona all the way to Pensacola. One day by myself, the MGB. It was like a 24-hour marathon. I just kept driving and driving. Every time I got to another destination, I thought, what's another 1,000 miles? I can do that standing on my head, right? It's like the old thing in the courtroom where the judge sentences the guy to 5 years, and the wise guy says, 5 years, I can do that standing on my head. And the guy goes, okay, well, here's another 5 years, so you can do it sitting down, standing on your feet. And that was it. Maybe that'll happen to the Trumpster, right? He'll make some crack while he's being sentenced. And the judge will go, okay, Donnie boy, how about another 10? There you go. Shut your mouth one time, you big fat orange-faced puss. Get out of here. How do we get on that right away? Sorry for the late start, a little technical difficulty. It is amazing that all it takes to fix things is to unplug something, but you have to figure out what to unplug.
Yes.
And so you go to the back there and you see all of the things that are in the socket, plugged into the socket, and you're like, which one? It's almost like cutting the blue or the red wire.
Have a bomb.
Yeah. So they go, no, not that one. No, are you kidding me? Everything I had on my computer is gone.
Exactly.
It's gone. All right, good to be with you. And, the professor coming up with Aussie rules football. In the beginning of ESPN, though, the first time I saw it, I'm in a hotel room in Pensacola. I couldn't wait to see ESPN because I was thinking, wow, are you kidding me? An all-sports network, 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Back then, they had like Tom Mees and Bob Lee on some really cheesy sets. And they were doing Sports Center almost around the clock. And the only live events they had some women's field hockey, which was the origination. I mean, can you imagine? You talk about innovation and inspiration. That inspired the idea for a 24-hour sports network that is now the biggest media monster in sports that you could ever imagine. I don't know. Has anything ever eclipsed the overwhelming influence of ESPN in sports media coverage? Nothing, right? Nothing even comes close. Everybody's trying to be. I mean, they got Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Fox Sports 3. Hey, what channel are the races on? It's great now. They show like half a race at Saratoga on Fox Sports 1, and then it happens to occur like at 3 o'clock. So all of a sudden, you're watching your horse turn for home, and then a soccer game breaks out. And it's like, I don't know, how many meaningless soccer games are there? Now that the Inter-Miami CF soccer games, I guess, have some meaning, right? They're monumental. Each one is another Messi performance, which is really funny because it is almost like watching Messi at, if he was holding a clinic for little kids and, he decides to go out there and run with them for a few minutes. Hey, look, the coach is coming out on the field. Look. Yeah, he just dazzles them like he was Marcus Haynes dribbling through a bunch of stiffs from the Washington Generals. It's great to watch. unbelievable. But back then in the day, they didn't have much on ESPN, and I remember I was thrilled because I think I watched back to back to back to back to back. I after that 24-hour drive, I think I slept like an entire day, Luby. As I recall, I went to bed in a hotel on Monday, and then when I went to check out, they charged me for 2 nights. I said, "What do you mean? I was only here I got here last night." And they said, "No, you've been here all day.
Oh, jeez.
It's Tuesday." Whoa, are you kidding me? And I had watched. I think I don't even know that he had that many fights. I think they showed some of them a couple of times because all they had were Bobby Ches fights. What was that? The Toto skating rink? And you would see Bobby Ches knock out some guy in like the 8th round, and then they would go back to Sports Center, and they'd come right back and go, and here we go. Here's another classic from Bobby Ches as he takes on some tomato can from Vineland, New Jersey. And they're at the skating rink tonight, and that's going to be the main event. They didn't have much on there, huh? Really evolved quickly, did it not? Luby, when did they really turn the corner? When they got the NFL?
I'd say mid-late 80s. No, I mean, mid-late 80s. At least was worth, like, the sports centers were good. I don't know if I ever watched ESPN outside of the sports centers, but Sports Center at least was good.
They didn't have much in the way of sports, but Aussie rules football was a big part of that early staple too, wasn't it? Where the guy goes like this, and you're thinking, what is that? What is that? What does that signify? It's emblematic of what? Did they score? Is it a touchdown? What the hell do we call that? They beat the shit out of each other in Aussie rules football too.
Yes.
You think this game is tough here in America? These Australians, man. I mean, what? They bite down on a knife and they do surgery. I mean, they're incredibly tough people. They could put up with all of this nonsense from the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, which is still ongoing. Who's in the championship? England and somebody.
Yes.
Is it Spain? England and Spain.
Sure.
Is that a classic matchup, Louis? Our guy resigned. With Vladko Andronovsky. No, and is it Andronovsky? Vladko Andronovsky. What happens to him after bombing out with the U.S. women's national team? Does he surface somewhere else? Is he like some brilliant coach? Is he the Bill Belichick of soccer? Do you know anything about this guy that was coaching the U.S. team that you were so infatuated with?
Team? No, I have no idea who's coaching the U.S. women's team.
He was coaching the U.S. women's team.
Yeah,
You knew he was a shot fighter after the performance. It was ugliness, right? What'd they have? Like one goal in the whole tournament, and they still won 3 games. That's pretty amazing. He's gone. He's out. And the final is when? Do we have any clue when the final is? Spain versus England. Didn't Spain beat Sweden 2-1? Lubie, you're not following this? I mean, I thought you were the soccer guy. You were our guy. You were Seamus McLubitz for a couple of weeks here on the show.
The third place game is Saturday at 4 a.m. Sweden, Australia. The third place game.
They play a third place game?
They do. The championship is Sunday at 6 a.m. Spain and England.
Do you like the third place game or not?
No.
You don't? They used to play a third place game in what? In the NCAA tournament? Didn't they play a consolation game in the Final Four?
I think it's
Did that ever happen, or am I making that up?
Whoever lost to the eventual champion, you can say they're third. I don't need them playing. Like, who gives a shit?
Well, I mean, in theory, and I believe this at one time. I'm now immune to the idea because it hasn't happened for so long where you had the consolation game. But if you were a player, did you not want to play? You wanted to play every game that you possibly could play.
Yes. You want to keep playing as long as you can. I get that. As a spectator, I don't give a shit. I don't know if I've ever watched a third place game going, oh my God, this really means something.
I'll tell you what it means, Louis. It means another point spread, my friend.
Yeah.
It means another wagering opportunity. It means another chance to separate yourself from your own hard-earned cash. Think about how hard it was to earn that money that you were just frivolously throwing away, thinking that you have an opinion that might be better than somebody else's on a particular sporting event, including a full slate of preseason football that gets underway tonight with the Eagles and the Browns. Eagles at home, favored by 3 and a hook. Browns, what? With something to prove. Do they not have something to prove, Louie?
Oh,
what do they have to prove? That they suck? I mean, what?
In the regular season, there's a lot. I mean, the Browns spent a shitload on Deshaun Watson, and he sucked last year. And Deshaun Watson wants to show he's past all the, I don't want to say nonsense because it felt like it had some kind of rationale behind it. He's past it, and he's really a top 5 quarterback in this league. So yes, both sides have a lot to prove. I don't know if they have anything to prove in a Thursday night preseason game.
I mean, Stefanski, is he not interested in creating a winning attitude? I would imagine Deshaun Watson doesn't see a lot of playing time, although it looked from his play last year like he might have needed to polish up a few things.
Yeah, he needs it.
Besides what he was having polished up by these various massage therapists.
Instagram models.
How sore would you be going to 13 different massage therapists in the same day to get the treatment, so to speak?
I'm not that active. I'm not that virile.
When I was young, Lubie. When I was young. No, I don't know that I could have, stayed with him or Wilt Chamberlain for that matter. Wilt, the all-time idol in that category. I mean, and we'll never. You talk about a record that'll never be broken. 20,000 women, and what did he say? Like 50 years or whatever it was. Not even like 30 years. Pretty incredible number.
He had to fuck like 3 to 5 a day, or it was some stupid like. It was like almost
you would have had to literally be either at the Playboy Mansion or Woodstock.
Yeah, like a
through
horse.
your entire life.
Like a studying horse.
Yeah. It laid that many times. Maybe they had some wild parties over at Timothy Leary's house, right? But everybody was tripping.
Sure.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
All right. We had bitter disappointment last night, and it was 2 games in a row. We kind of gave away a couple of games here in South Florida, talking about the Miami Marlins. And now you talk about a tight race, Lubie. This is as tight as it gets. I got in trouble, and if the cancel culture was around, I would have been canceled years ago for delivering a line a long, long time ago on the Jim Mandich Sunday Night Sports Rap Show. Now, my job was, to say funny things and, give my analysis or whatever, do some interviews. But essentially, the one-liners were the thing that they were looking for, right? I mean, I was Henny Youngman on this show. So what did I say? There was a pennant race of some sort going on, or I don't know what I was talking about. Might have been a photo finish at the track. And I said, that was tighter than the Virgin Mary.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no.
Notice I don't go to that one very frequently. I can only use that line now in the context of this is something that you would never want to say on the air.
You said that on the air?
On the air, on a live TV
like
show.
A CBS kind of a thing, like not even like on an HBO.
This was Channel 39, right? Whatever the call letters were
like
for the station.
CBS offshoot, though. It was
Channel 33. Channel 33.
Like network.
They weren't owned by, they were an independent television station, and otherwise there was no way we could have put this show on there. But yeah, that was it. So you think that would have been the end of my career right then and there?
That would have been really bad.
If it was more mainstream, it shows you that there weren't enough people watching the Sunday Night Sports Rap Show to justify the lofty advertising fees that were being charged. Although it was a very successful show, I think, in general.
Oh, because Mandich did really well. Mandich was good at bilking.
No, what Jim was good at, in terms of the sports media business, and I think we're going to need to get to this, is that he would put it all together, right? So you were on his fishing show, you were on his radio show, you were on his television show, you were on this, and you got 400 passes to a Dolphin game to come up to the press box there, because I'll never forget when he had more credentials than the rest of the entire press box combined.
The problem was he employed really sucky people. Like, that was the thing, is like he employed like his son and his son's best friend.
But they all became like brilliant business people now.
Business.
That guy, Kasowitz, yeah, I mean, like on television networks.
But on air, they were horrendous. Like, he would put anyone on air because he didn't really worry about.
He wanted to give everyone a shot. He was like that.
It wasn't even that. It was about covering a lot of things, not being good at it. Like, It wasn't about having good content. It was about just having.
Oh yeah, he had FIU basketball, an FIU basketball package.
He covered everything, and that was his thing. It wasn't that it was going to be good. It was
how many people, honestly? I mean, if you were going to do a count, right, and you were thinking, now there's some obligations sometimes to carry this stuff, but if you had an FIU basketball radio package right now, think about it, FAU, which people would have laughed about, all of a sudden you're in the Final Four. And, if you were a minor advertiser on there, or you got in for a small fee because the product itself didn't necessarily mandate big prices, you ended up, I don't know, were people listening to that game on the radio?
No, that's the problem, is even when they're in the Final Four, who gave a shit on the radio?
Exactly. Unless you happened to be trapped in your car, you were trying to escape some kind of natural disaster, God forbid, something like the fire in Hawaii. And that would be the only way that you were tuned into a college basketball game on the radio, I would think, at this point in time.
Yeah, no one cares.
because everybody's watching it on their phone, right? I think Jim Sarney, did he not have like multiple screens on his phone where he was watching? He had everything going, right? He had a track and field meet. He had women's golf. He had a pro bowling event and something else. He was watching them all simultaneously on his phone. It was pretty incredible. So there would be little reason for somebody to buy into a radio package, but he would throw that in there too, the Mad Dog.
Yes.
The FIU, which it couldn't have been any more meaningless at the time.
That was rough.
Basketball package. So, and I mean, it's a brilliant way of marketing, right? They just put it all together and charge the guy like $50,000 for the thing.
Yes.
So you didn't know what you were buying. It's an interesting way of selling. Well, you know what? Nobody's listening to that shit. Yeah, but look at this. You're getting all of that. It worked out. I think the fishing show became popular, right? Eric Brandon's still doing it. I think they're destined to eclipse our record for the longest running weekend radio show, which we had with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And also it had other locations prior to that over the course of like 25 years that we were doing that on the air. Might have been 25, Lubie. That's a pretty good long-running show, right? Only eclipsed by Mama Schwartz's matzo ball preparation show. That was on the same station there where we were buying time at one point. I don't think we ever bought time for that show. Always was a welcome addition, and then everybody, the management would ask, hey, so how can we make some money on this? Now you can't. It's over. All right, Marlins last night. Speaking of games on the radio, that I don't imagine there's a huge radio audience for Marlins baseball. What do you think?
No.
Do we even know what station? It's on 940. That's right.
940, but no one's listening. Who gives a shit about Marlins fucking radio?
Marlins radio. Would you be inclined to tune in if you happen to be driving in a storm? Would you punch on the Marlins game on the radio? I have a couple of times this year.
I haven't.
Punched up a Marlins game on the radio. I was waiting for if Shirley goes into like a Walgreens or a CVC. Don't you figure it's going to be about 45 minutes, even if she's only going in there to buy like hair coloring?
No, if she goes into a Target or a CVS, it's at least 40 minutes. 100%.
And I'm waiting in the car because I hate to shop. Period. I really hate to shop. The Mustang's actually not a bad shopper. She'll go in and get what she wants right away. She's not one to browse. Is Shirley a browser? That's hard to put up with. I mean, you'll put up with it the first time when you're trying to get, to home plate with a woman. You'll put up with any habit that she has, even if you personally are appalled by it. As in, wants to go into people don't do this anymore, though. They don't go into department stores and just browse. You imagine? I mean, is there anything? Worse. There's a ball game on. You have a chance maybe to get together with your buddies at the track, and you're forced to go into like a Bird-Eins and waltz around, and maybe even feign trying on clothes as if you were interested in buying a new wardrobe, Louie. Try this shirt on. I think it would look good on you.
Shirley's not a stopper.
No.
If she goes to a place like that because of the makeup situation, she'll be there for fucking ever. She can fuck around in a makeup section for fucking a good 30 minutes at least.
But it's not the woman's fault if she goes into a Walgreens or a CVS, not CVC, CVS, yeah. Goes into one of those stores because that's strictly on the cashier, is it not? Unlike a Walmart where eventually you can get enough help, to figure out how to use the self-checkout. After nobody can figure out what to do, and then beepers are going off and horns and sirens, and they have security at the door. Wait a minute, you're going to pay for that or what, Jack? But Walgreens and CVS, that's it. It's all on the cashier. There could be one person ahead of you at the cashier. It's going to be an hour.
Walgreens and CVS takes fucking forever at the cashier.
Forever, man. A bag of Cheetos, for God's sake. Speaking of Mayo and his guilty pleasures. A bag of Cheetos. That's all you're getting. You're ashamed. It's almost like you're buying the porn magazine, right? And another, Woody Allen classic where the guy's at the counter and, Woody's trying to discreetly buy this sex magazine and he's got this hot babe that he's chasing around and they go, hey, Joe, how much for a copy of Orgasm?
Always. Yeah, always.
That happened to me, though, literally. I told you that story.
Oh, for sure.
In Atlantic City. I was checking out, and it was early in the morning. I had like a 6 o'clock. There was like a 6 or a 7 o'clock flight out of there. Spirit Airlines, right? I mean, you're talking bare bones, my friends. But it's great because you could stay overnight and then still get back here in time or back home in time to, have a date, where maybe you're going on very little sleep. And I was at the Tropicana, a dump of a hotel, and I was thinking, I don't know, I was just perusing, and I accidentally punched up the X-rated movie. Not X-rated, but like quadruple X-rated. It's Atlantic City, for Christ's sake, right? Where it's pretty clear that whoever is running the local prostitution ring does not have a dental plan, as Jersey Kyle and I figured out. So, true story, Lubie. And I'm at the counter checking out, and I'm trying to do like a quick checkout, but they had put this movie on my bill, and it was like $19.99 or something. And I thought, I didn't even mean to. It was just a total accident. I happened to hit the wrong button on the remote, and all of a sudden, here comes Sweat Hog Sluts is up on the screen. So, sure enough, there's two lines. There are two lines. One has like 20 nuns on it. There must have been some kind of religious gathering there, and they're checking out. And then I run up to the other counter there, and I'm telling the guy what happened with the movie, and he says, kind of turns literally and says, "Hey, Lou, can I discount this guy, Sweat Hog Sluts? He says he punched it up by mistake." And they all turn. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus. No, that wasn't me. I had nothing to do with this, right? God shall strike me down right now if I intended to watch this movie, ladies." What do you think? No, it's always embarrassing, right? You get caught with something like that. But anyway, getting back to this whole thing with, we're now infatuated with the Marlins. They find themselves in a triple dead heat, Lubie. How exciting is this? A triple dead heat for the third wild card spot. They're in. Everybody that they needed to lose last night, because, and this was a hairy game. That guy with the Stuff Plus that we were reading yesterday, remember from, the Barry America campaign, Action Sports?
Yeah.
Was he onto something? He definitely was, right? Although, I don't know. Did you really need to have analytics to see that Luzardo had been losing it since the All-Star break?
Yeah, I literally said, Cueto fuck them, because if they had that game in hand, it would have been okay when Luzardo fucked around. Like the dude, the last month has been horrendous. Like he's just been bad.
Last three starts, since the All-Star break, 0-3. Yeah, 7.39 earned run average. He gives up 3 home runs in the first inning last night.
Like what the hell? Like literally,
you're getting shelled. Have you ever been on the mound, Lubie, and just gotten shelled like that?
Not like
shelled.
That.
You can't get anybody out.
Come on, man. Like what is that? 3 home runs in the first inning at home? Like, are you kidding me? Like what?
And these were bombs, man. Like center field, deep. Had Lauria had his way, and Jeter had kept that hairy home run machine. Celebration thing that he had, they would have crushed a couple of the pink lights on that art display. Was that considered art? I guess that was sort of Miami art, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be. It was
very Christo-esque.
It was supposed to be in the vein of like the Christo art era. Stupid idiot.
Oh, really? You thought you associated that with Christo? Because
for what?
the Christo man, his part of his art and studying like what kind of nutbag this guy really was, and why people thought what he was doing was artistic at all. Although, if you do see the photos, Libby, which they're not widely distributed, are they? You would have a better chance of getting a hold of that Mickey Mantle jersey that's going to sell for like $20 million than you would one of those photos from the Christo art project that he did down here when he wrapped the islands off of Key Biscayne. Was it Key Biscayne? It was somewhere, in the local waterways here, and he covered them all in pink plastic. Remember? But the aerial shots were literally. If you wanted to look at it, I don't know. Well, what do you consider art, Libby? I thought it was extremely artistic, but he claimed that part of the art of what he was doing were the political things that he had to do, the red tape that he had to pour through in order to get these projects cleared, which you would imagine were immense, right? You talk about a possible environmental disaster. Who knows what the after effect is going to be? Did all those dead fish that you see washing up on the shore when Louis Aguirre is saying, "Don't pollute our waterways" on Channel 10? You think that's the residue of that very lame concept of wrapping these islands that killed all the algae that was feeding the fish, that now the entire ecosystem is fucked up because of this guy? I'm getting carried away with it, aren't I? What were we talking about? The Marlin game.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not better.
Luzardo. Okay, so this guy was right about the stuff plus. Luzardo's lost it. It doesn't take, I mean, do you have to be, some Bill James offshoot to figure that out? I don't know. Would Bill James even like what's going on today with some? You say he's still alive, Bill James?
Yeah, he's in his 70s.
How come you never hear anything from him? I mean,
Well,
has
he
he been?
doesn't still
Did they
write.
buy his silence that some of this stuff is ridiculous?
He doesn't write or anything. Like he wrote years ago, and he sort of tapped out. He hasn't been like
Baseball Abstract, man, was a breakthrough.
yeah, but he hasn't been like an
A
analyst.
breakthrough book in the literary offering in the history of sport. Baseball Abstract. Did I ever read it? No. But nonetheless, I mean, I can make that claim with certainty because he sort of changed the way everybody thinks. People thought he was crazy, right? One of his things, too, was to make sure you don't have Barry Bonds hitting fourth. Bat him third. You want that guy getting more at bats. And people, I mean, why would they not embrace that? They were so old school, Lubie, that, you thought, well, our best hitter, our big power guy, he's got to bat fourth. I think, yeah, why don't you put him up in the second inning with nobody on? You asshole,
Yeah,
Jimmy Leland.
Exactly.
Mr. Old School. My ass, old school. All right, so it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's happening here. And as optimistic as we were a couple of nights ago, and with that big comeback against the Yankees, I mean, are we ready to throw in the towel again?
Their pitching rotation was a strong suit for them. Cueto is rough, and now Luzardo too. I mean,
you can't throw either of those guys out there without figuring you're going to need at least 5 runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
You can't. I mean, it's usually that number's up. Cueto is lucky. I don't know that he'll get past the 5th inning in any game. Watch, he'll throw a no-hitter next time out.
That'd be fine.
But, I mean, you're literally, I mean, they're throwing beach balls up there. 3 home runs the first inning against Luzardo. Well, you want to root for this kid. He's a local guy. He seems to have, everything that you would want and someone you can warmly embrace and be a fan of. He says all the right things. He acts very professionally. Looks like he's got some dynamite stuff. I mean, a left-hander, he throws hard. I guess they all do now. So, it's not like you're going to get Tommy John out there after the surgery. I can't throw it so hard anymore. Did Tommy John, when he started going into slop after the original Tommy John surgery, did he ever throw anything up there at over 80 miles an hour? I don't think so. That left-handed slop, though, was impossible to hit, even if you were a right-handed hitter, right? You would you rather face, Lubie, a flamethrower if you were facing a lefty, a flamethrower, or somebody that just had that stuff that, I mean, it just dies like a dead fish right at the plate. Here we go with the dead fish again. Right? I'm blaming Christo. Yeah, I mean, that stuff is horrible, isn't it? You can't hit it. It's like hitting a knuckleball. The first couple of times you're like, oh, wait a minute, man, where'd this thing go? How did I? You're mystified that you weren't able to make contact. You can't believe you couldn't hit this pitch. But Luzardo, I mean, he's bringing it with some heat. He looks like he has great form. Does Mel Stottlemyre have to tell him, hey, make sure your shoulder's dipping a little bit? What happened to this guy? Did he burn out? Because now you have a bad situation, Lubie, if you're a Marlin fan. And here we go. We're going to pee right on your parade here. And this has been true all season, and it now pops its ugly head up again. Where if you look at the rotation, this Perez, I mean, I don't know. Can you really count on him anymore? They brought him up from the minors. They were going to try and shut him down a little bit, maybe get him a little bit of work here and there. Now he's... and he's been getting shelled. Luzardo getting shelled. Cueto getting shelled. That's 3/5 of your rotation. And then every time you throw him out there, he was getting shelled throughout the first half of the season. All of a sudden, he's your most reliable guy. And Braxton Garrett can give you, 5 innings of a reasonably decent, respectable ball. But it does look like, I mean, he staggered through those 5 innings this last time. In spite of the fact that, did he leave the game? He left the game on top, did he not?
Yeah, it was a shutout. I don't think they had scored when he left. Yeah, there are rotations in shambles right now. It just is.
You can't go the last 40 games, like that.
That's a
Michael.
There's still a lot of games left to be like, all right, let's cross our fingers every night.
Michael, you don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. The way you emphasize that word, that. Joe Cazale, was that the name of the actor that played Fredo? Was it Joe Cazal?
No idea.
I believe so. Yeah, he checked out a while ago. Had went to the doctor one day and got diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer or something.
Oh God.
And there was no standing 8 count back then for any of this stuff. It was just like, boom, you're gone. That was it. Great, brilliant actor. Considered to be one of the most brilliant actors that ever performed. Was in, he was great. Dog Day Afternoon. He didn't do much, right? When you can make that kind of an impression and you don't do much, that's good acting, isn't it? What do you think? Or am I making that up? I loved Cazal. I thought he was a tremendous character actor. Speaking of acting, and this has been very much in the news. Before we get back, I don't know. Is there anything to dissect there? They're down 5-0 in the first inning. The Marlins. They come back all the way. I want again. I tried to get in a walk of life last night and postpone lightning. What do you do when you're like about? I was like a mile and change from the house, right? Lightning straight overhead, Lubie. When do you go off the track? At what point do you just say, that's it? Do you go Richard Steele? You step in and stop it? Or do you just keep going because you look around and there'll be like one guy walking his dog? But maybe, how do you know that guy doesn't have a death wish, Libby? Where, you're outside and you're thinking, okay, I'll just try to get this one in. What are the odds I get struck by lightning? With my luck, Libby?
Yes.
Tremendous.
Pretty high.
Lightning is minus 110.
Exactly.
To at least hit a tree nearby where you're jolted or something. I don't know. What happens? Anybody, do we know anybody in our listening viewing audience that's been struck by lightning or had lightning hit anywhere near them at any time in their lives? And, you did the old Lee Trevino thing where you thought, wow, not even God can hit a 2-iron. Golfing, I mean, we used to stay out there no matter what. How willing are you? I've become a complete wimp for, if I wanted to get, canceled again, literally a pussy about this kind of stuff. I don't want to be outside when there's lightning going on. And I used to really resent this, right? Until even recently, where they would blow the lightning siren at the park and you would have to leave the tennis courts and you're looking around. It's like blue skies.
Oh, that's what's annoying. Yeah. When they're premature with the fucking alarm, when it's like, dude, there's nothing going on. Like, you don't have to have the goddamn, like they delayed one of my nephew's baseball games, not this year, the last year, for like an hour, and it was clear.
Clear as a bell. Yeah. It never rains. I mean, 2 hours later, it's still fine.
Yeah. That's annoying. Like if it's thundering and lightning, then you probably shouldn't be out there with a metal apparatus in your hand. But
I think I'll open up my umbrella. Maybe I'll dodge a few raindrops here. Meanwhile, you're electrocuted. You feel like Bundy there in Old Sparky, just strapped in. Okay, Whitey, pull the switch.
See, so yesterday's game was doubly annoying because not only did Luzardo suck, but they fought back again like they did in game 1. And then their bullpen, the two guys that actually pitched well.
That guy Lopez and Nardi,
shit the bed, and they don't score again. It's like, okay.
Once they had that 7th inning. Was that the 7th?
6 runs. How do you have a 6-run 7th? Like, come on.
It was easy. I mean, they keep walking this guy who was hitting like 178. Who's the catcher, man? He's been around for 100 years. And you're thinking, he's only in there. I mean, how can you continue to put this guy up there? He's batting 9th for the Stros, who, all of their batting averages are subpar except for Altuve this year.
Oh, no, that's center field.
Yeah, he's a big fat guy. And, he's been around forever. He's not exactly...
Martin Maldonado?
Maldonado, yeah.
Maldonado. He's batting 1.
Not exactly Candy Maldonado with the bat, this cat. I don't know if he was ever any good, but he's no good now. And I don't know how many times the Marlins walked this guy in the series. It was ugliness. Doesn't get any easier, Lubie. A day off today and what? Zoom to Los Angeles to begin a series tomorrow night against the red-hot, smoking hot L.A. Dodgers, Lubie. Could you land in a rougher spot?
So this is when their season ends? Is that what it is? Like, this is when
it's time to blow taps, I believe. No?
Yeah, this is when it ends.
How many times can we write them off? But those were two ugly losses, right? They had. There you go. Everybody, if you want to stand up for this, be okay. Be like, talk about standing for the anthem. Is that not a token gesture when you stand for the anthem at the track, Lubie?
That's what's funny is everyone does it when we're there. No one's there. It's like there's no one.
No one's there. Yeah.
Do we have to do it now? Like I'm in the middle of setting up, and everyone looks at me.
It's like fucking bar mitzvah practice, right? There's nobody here.
The cleaning people, if I keep setting up, look at me like I'm an asshole and like I'm Kaepernick, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's 11:30, guys.
I feel awkward about that every time. I really do. And I'm an advocate of standing up and saluting the flag. You know me, people. I'm a red-blooded American. Red-blooded. I don't want to leave this country.
I agree with you.
Although if certain circumstances, continue to develop the way they are, is that possible, Lubie, that Trump is in a dead heat with Biden in the national poll, if indeed it turns out to be a Trump versus Biden, which it looks like it will, in spite of all the stuff that's going on, it still looks like you're going to have that. That's going to be the race for the presidency.
Yeah, I don't know who they're polling, but I think that's a load of garbage.
I mean, they have him. Virtually every poll has him in a veritable dead heat, my friend.
Yeah, I think
some even have Trump leading, I believe.
People hate him.
It's 1 point either way. I mean,
people don't hate him less now. Like he lost decisively, and people only grew. Literally, any candidate he backed in the midterms lost massively. Like,
yeah. But is there a secret society out there? Maybe Trump's right about this. That is doing the actual voting, Lubie, that nobody can find.
The polls are bullshit. They're not. The sample size is a load of garbage.
Yeah,
they're not polling a wide variety of people. They're polling Trump people. It's 100% what they're doing because people hate him, and now he's facing 4 indictments. They're not like, oh, well, I like him more now. Like, that's not
91 criminal counts.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point, you probably, think about this. If you went to apply to bag groceries at the supermarket, right? You go down to Publix today. You're thinking, hey, I need to start making some money here. Any tangible cash income I can produce is going to be an asset to me. So you go down there now, and on the application, it says, are you currently under investigation for any criminal activity? I don't know if it says it like that, but you finally find a category where you can't check off the box in a favorable spot. So now you have to ask yourself, am I going to lie on my resume here? If you were facing 91 criminal counts and you admitted to it, do you think you get that job bagging groceries at Publix, Libby? Much less, then, think, well, you know what? It really shouldn't matter if I'm going to become the president of the United States. I guess if you believe, like Trump does, that this is all bogus bullshit and all orchestrated, I don't think Biden, he's at the point of senility where I don't even think he could think of something like this. Do you? He'd be more likely to hand the election to Trump than he would be to find a way to stymie his campaign. And, so the choices aren't exactly that of brilliance, although, is it ever pointed out? I mean, you're quick to point out, you think the Biden man has accomplished some things here. And maybe just in maintaining, keeping the country from going completely under, much like Obama, that, and people would, I'm sure the Republican people in our audience are like, reeling in agony and ready to throw stuff at the screen. But it does seem like, we're facing impending doom. At least total disaster has been staved off. Is that a fair statement, Libby?
Yeah. What do you mean? It was clear recession. We actually, for one term, showed recession type tendencies. So when do you ever get out of that? You never. Like, even the greatest since ever, you're going to have a recession. They then are out of recession. Like, and now the economists are saying, oh shit, because it was assumed we were having a recession and it was going to be a pretty tough recession. They are saying we're now not only possibly not going to have a recession, but we may end up having a really strong economy.
We were one step away from being paid in rubles on your job.
So that, you can say the economy is cyclical, but that's not a cyclical thing. That's literally just doing things to curb the economic issues, turning it around. You can hate the guy. He's old. He stutters. He is senile. He stumbles. You can say whatever you want. He looks frail. He's on a fucking.
Oh no, he needs a standing 8. Yeah, you have to have a cut man with this guy.
I mean, something to do with the infrastructure. Literally, both sides don't like Biden, and the stuff he's done has been fucking masterful. Or his people, give whoever you want credit. Like, again, you cannot like someone. Like, I can hate the Patriots. I still have to say they won multiple Super Bowls. Like, that's a weird thing where people are in this weird place where because they don't like something, they just say,
You have
well,
to trash everything. Sure.
yeah, like you can hate someone, but it doesn't mean that they're doing a bad job. You have to admit if he's doing a good job. Like he just is. He's doing by the numbers. Economy's strong. The stock market's strong. Jobs are up. Like unemployment's down. Inflation has been curbed. It's not done, but inflation has been curbed, which is something people thought would take a long time to even curb it. Infrastructure was a huge thing he got passed, was by part. Like you can hate Joe Biden and that's fine because I don't want him to be president again either. But the job he's done is fucking masterful. Like he's done a really good job. He's gotten a lot done.
There's no chaos,
And then the fighting
coming down the pike here.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
All right. That still leaves us in a tough spot, right? We're in a tough spot there. Tough spot with your Marlins, Lubie. A three-way dead heat now for the third wild card spot, but not in a favorable position. Every team that they needed last night that was around them all ended up winning. And, so while showing signs of life, again, tortured. Now, do they come back and shut us up by having a big series against the Dodgers? That seems unlikely. The Dodgers, I want to say, Lubie, have won 10 in a row. Is that possible? The Dodgers have won 10 straight ball games coming into this series against the Marlins and seem to have everything. Kershaw's back in there. That guy Urias, who was really good a couple of seasons ago.
Yes, won 10 in a row.
Has kind of come back. Yeah, 10 straight.
Won 10 in a row.
Wow. What are they going to do out there in L.A.? Lay an egg? What do you think? Is this it? Is this where we start to write the epitaph on yet another Cinderella season, Lubie? That's a terrible position to take, isn't it? We're supposed to be uplifting on this show, Lubie. Are we not? Are we not trying to get people out of the sack and into their day with a little bit of uplifting spirit, have a couple of laughs on the way to work or whatever you're doing? And, we just don't want to be blindly optimistic about everything and tell you fairy tales. But, this is an ugly position to take, although it's very realistic. You can't have three starters that you can't count on a lick. And then on top of that, you're already talking about your stressed bullpen where, you have to, they have to lead Luzardo in the game last night, right? Beyond the point where he was going to have any meaningful effectiveness. Same thing with Cueto. Were you leaving Cueto in a ball game and you knew he was eventually going to get shelled? If you're Skip Schumacher, you just leave him out there knowing the inevitable is about to happen? Holy Aaron Boone, what are we talking about here? Boone would be the opposite. The guy would be pitching a no-hitter, and he would take him out in the fifth. I got my sixth inning guy. He's up and ready. So, yeah, but he got bombed last night. He gave up 4 runs. Aaron, you're really going to put him out there while this guy's got a no-no going? Aren't you going to give him a shot? Maybe to continue. He's throwing 48 pitches so far. Nope. Got to go by the book. Analytics, are they killing sports? There's your topic. There's your research paper, Libby. Yeah. Let's see what happens. All right, full slate of NFL action. We'll get into that a little bit. I don't know if I have an opinion on any of these games. How could you? Would you have any idea what the goals are for various teams in this second week of the preseason? Do we have any clear cut? We saw some teams playing their starters.
Yes.
Right? Why was Trevor Lawrence out there for the Jacksonville Jaguars? What was he doing on the field?
When you have younger quarterbacks, I think they should get run. It's the older veterans that, you can't risk getting hurt.
Aaron Rodgers and the talk, you're on to something, Libby.
Their line
your analysis, the offensive line of the Jets has quietly the euphoria of landing Aaron Rodgers and then, seemingly having this great team already assembled, and it was just a quarterback away. And, Zach Wilson obviously was a horror show last year, although so far this season he looks brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Every practice they're talking about, well, Zach Wilson, really stole the show here today. He was 12 for 12 for 472 yards and led 2 scoring drives. Meanwhile, Rodgers has picked off 6 times. It hasn't been going well, but they're starting. The cracks in the offensive line are beginning to seep through to the point where it's now being discussed. I
think in practice yesterday they gave up 7 sacks. They don't let you sack in practice. I was like, how is that even?
Not a game. Not a game. All right, we're coming back with more. What would people delight in the failure of the New York Jets this year to be the juggernaut team that everybody anticipated they would be the minute that there was, that it was obvious that they were going to get Aaron Rodgers? What do you think? I mean, we've seen New York. I mean, do they get buffaloed? You talk about this being the city of false hope. New York fans get, zamboozled more than just about anybody, don't they? I would think a significant bet against the New York Jets this year would be a very favorable position to take. If I was your financial advisor, I would suggest this. Take the points with anybody against the New York Jets all season long, and I bet that they have a losing record against the spread. What do you think?
I've said I want to see them because people are just assuming they're going to be this great team. Their offensive lines are not good, and Aaron Rodgers is a very temperamental person we've seen. So yeah, he's loving going to Broadway, and he's loving going to the Knicks playoffs games, and he's loved throwing the ball out at a Yankee game. Yeah, because everyone loves him. But the minute he gets sacked and the minute he's looking around like, what the fuck's going on? He's going to be the first guy to yell at his own team. He's like very Marino in that. Like,
it's starting to break down, Libby. I mean, he was given a couple of looks, and now there's, the conversation, as they would say, is, well, you know what? We better get on this now.
Yes, that's the thing. And he's not a guy that's going to take the blame himself. Like, Tua's the first guy, even though Tua will have nothing to do with it because he got killed because Austin Jackson fucking sucks. Tua will be like, yeah, I need it. And you should get rid of it quicker. But, yeah, that was on me. Rodgers doesn't do that. Rodgers is the first guy to throw his fucking teammates under the bus. Like, in front of the media, in front of a press conference, he will throw his receivers out there. He will throw his line out there. He'll throw his coaches out there. Like, Aaron Rodgers does not.
He's got a little Giselle Bundchen in him, doesn't he?
I don't know. He's a little child when it comes to that. Yeah. He's very immature and petty.
He couldn't have been any more favorable. I mean, this has been a joyride of extraordinary proportions for Aaron Rodgers since he's come to New York. As we said, the only guy we've ever seen happier was Dennis Rodman when he was on whatever that magic dust was that he was taking that night. And, having done a fair amount of cocaine in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen that level of euphoria. And I thought, my God, I want some of that. And that was Rodgers. I mean, it doesn't strike you as the type that would want to be like on the red carpet at the Met Gala, does he?
Well, after being in Green Bay for over a decade, I mean.
Green Bay. You may as well be Ted Kaczynski, making bombs and sending them out to politicians you don't like.
Exactly.
I don't know what made me think of that, but the My Pillow guy's on TV. He's got some other schlock product he's talking. How did that happen? That's America today. The My Pillow guy. I mean, the way he hugs that pillow is a little bit strange, Lubie. If I was really weaponizing the Department of Justice, I would have this guy's computer seized. I'd be looking for child porn. I mean, is that not a strange thing? This guy, the My Pillow guy, and that chick that's singing about Jardiance.
Oh, God.
The two commercials now that I mean, the minute they hit the screen, boom, I'm on the remote control. I don't care what I'm watching. All right, we're coming back with more here. You might be feeling the same way about this show, the way that it's going so far. I mean, it's been a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech there. Holy Bobby Crimmins. What are we talking about on this thing? We're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8 o'clock. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. Make the right choice for your home. Call Choice Mortgage today.
Your little toss. Your little toss.
Come on.
Oh,
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Thank God.
Don't do that.
You idiot. Thank God.
Thank God, please. There's nothing to do with God.
We now return to the Defo Show.
See, the more I listen to that clip, the more I'm thinking your mother was calling for a 5-1 toss. Is she aware of the playbook of the Florida State Seminoles? And when are we talking to Mike Norvell, by the way? When is that happening?
Monday at 11:15 a.m.
Okay. All right. So we'll have that, and we'll find a way to pop that into Tuesday's program here on a Defo Show. Mike Norvell, one of Lubie's favorites. He hated him when he was signed. He thought, well, this is like your fourth choice. You were even taking some serious ribbing from Gator fans like Mike Nyman, who were saying, because you had given that same application of rhetoric to Gator hires, where we're like the fifth guy that they wanted. We may as well have dug up Charlie fucking Pell.
And they hired Mullen, Dan Mullen was that. Yep.
Mullen seemed, when I saw him at like an SEC media day, I thought, wow, this guy's pretty good. And he turned out, wow, what happened to him, man? He went from being somebody that looked like, they always get this infusion of enthusiasm. Like they'll get a new coach, the Gators, and they start out well, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, right back to the pack, huh? Right back to the pack. Your man Anthony Richardson going to start for the Colts, by the way.
I think that's going to be so fun. Did you see him in this preseason? Oh my God, that guy is a fucking disaster. I think that's going to be because he's supposedly like the greatest kid off the field. It's like the one.
He does seem like I saw a little piece about his personal.
It's not even that he's bright,
and he seemed great. He really did.
Supposedly, he's like a very sweet guy, and he's caring.
You hate him though.
But who gives a shit? What does that have to do with throwing the ball? He threw under 50%. He went like 4 games in a row without a passing touchdown. Like how the fuck do you go multiple games without a passing touchdown? Like they had 2 to 3 guys were drafted off that offensive line. Their running back tandem was considered one of the best in all of college football. The receivers were okay. They weren't great, but they're okay. Like, how are you that bad? Like, I don't give a shit. And he's that fit.
You're figuring in the tradition of Gator football, you should be able to have some advantages in the passing game. No,
yes,
if you're a quarterback.
Napier was supposedly an
Andy Werfel won a Heisman, didn't he? Did Werfel win the Heisman? Werfel.
Yeah.
Werfel won a Heisman. Wow. Think about that. If anything, never mind the Gator flop. If anything could pinpoint the positive legacy of things that happened, Tim Tebow. But he was a good college quarterback, Tim Tebow. You don't think so? Obviously the arm strength issue was always a factor.
He was a good fullback. That team was fucking loaded for bear, and he, instead of letting the running backs get touchdowns, they let him. Like literally, the majority of his touchdowns came from 3 yards in. Like,
you think the whole thing was a fraud with Tebow?
I think Tebow was one of the most overrated college players in history. Percy Harvin, Hernandez, the running backs, and their line is why they were good. It wasn't fucking Tebow. Tebow was a fullback. He was just a fullback.
Was it Christ himself that designated Tebow for this level? This platform that he eventually had?
They just stole running back touchdowns and gave them to him. That's why he had so many fucking touchdowns. It was because he would always run the ball from the 1 yard in when usually you don't use your quarterback for that.
What about the jump pass, man? They loved it when Joe Willie did it.
That was the stupidest.
Down by the goal line when Joe Willie used to throw the jump pass, people flipped out. They were like, "Whoa, the jump pass! Did you see that?"
Yeah, okay.
And Tebow, the same thing, right? He had that stupid jump pass that he did. Which didn't you attempt that when you were in the Sandlots at some point in time? Did you not attempt the jump pass down by the goal line? It never worked. No. Never worked. You always ended up like flat on your ass with an incompletion or an interception. Maybe it was even going back the other way, and you would have been the last person that had a shot at tackling a guy. And because you were looking up at the lights, it was all over. Because you tried to execute the stupid jump pass. Joe Willie.
Look,
he was great with that thing, though.
Has a ton of physical tools, and he's a guy that maybe in a couple years could be something. the fact that he now has to start on a team that was as bad as any team in the league, it's not good for a guy that's that raw. Like it usually does not work out for the raw guy that's forced into play early on a bad team. But we'll see.
Yeah. They say like the owner of a dog ends up taking on a little bit of the appearance of the dog. Is that true? Like with football teams, where now the Colts are sort of a reflection of what a mess Jim Irsay is.
Oh yeah.
Is that true? I mean, I don't know. It probably doesn't explain out all across the board, but it might in this case because the Colts at one time a vaunted team, right? Peyton Manning chucking a rock there, and they had all kinds of talent. Really, I mean, Reggie Wayne catching passes there on his way to the Hall of Fame. And they've been a non-factor or a non-consideration. What? When they had Andrew Luck, you thought they might do something.
Well, and then they put together a great team, but Andrew Luck was so annihilated that he retired, so they've not been able to make up for that. And now that great team is aged out. And Quentin Nelson, who was early on in his career a great offensive lineman, is not anymore already. The rest of that line is a disaster. Jonathan Taylor, the one bright spot, the owner's gone.
He's managed to alienate him, yeah.
For some fucking reason. The defense has fallen off a lot. Like, yeah, I mean, that team's good luck.
Right, so it's wrought with disaster is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, that team could
wrong guy, wrong spot. If he was going to develop, and I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan. I mean, the whole thing of Aaron Rodgers, sitting behind Brett Favre for 4 years and then came in and he was ready. I think you're better off playing than sitting on the sidelines behind even the great. Even if Johnny U came back from the grave, do you really need 2 seasons on the bench watching this guy? Can't you? I mean, they have film now, Lubie. You can go back and see everything that he did. Do you really need to sit on the sidelines and watch what's going on? Does that really benefit you if you're a quarterback, or would you not find it far more advancing in terms of your ability to play to actually get out there and get smashed for a little while?
I'm all about going and playing a guy, but the situation matters. If he's a guy that's super raw and he's on a team that's not going to help him out at all, you're going to ruin a guy. Like that's what happens with quarterbacks is like if they get hit often and early, they form really bad habits and it's really hard to break them of those habits. It just is.
If this happens with Richardson, it'll go down as one of the great blunders of all time. And probably seal the fate of the Indianapolis Colts as also rans into, the very distant future. So we'll see. And it's great. I love it because I'm not a big fan of the Colts organization. And I would like to root for this Richardson kid because it would be nice to see everybody wrong about him, A, and B, as you alluded to, Lubie, if you see anything about his personal life and the way he conducts himself in daily society, kid is a mensch, man. Like well beyond anything that you would expect. It's not just that he's humble, but he actually goes out and asserts himself and really is, a very strong advocate of going out and doing some good. So, hard to dislike that. You don't want to root against him, but he's on the Colts now, so fuck him, I think is the way that you have to look at it, no?
I just think Irsay sucks. Like, he literally has ruined an organization that really did what the Dolphins fans wanted and got 2 back-to-back franchise quarterbacks. They ruined Luck.
Yeah.
And they built the GM, in spite of Irsay, built a really good roster, but they couldn't find the old quarterback to fit it. And now they're just bad.
Yeah. Oh, they experimented with Matt Ryan, right? Last year?
Ryan and then
my God.
Rivers and then Ryan, and both guys were at their
my God. Talk about going the aging veteran route. All right, so no wonder they got overly excited about Richardson from the University of Florida. All right, so we want to make some money over the weekend, Libby. Okay. Can we do some kind of in-depth analysis of some of these preseason games and see if we can come up with something? And you guys feel free to help out. If you're on the chat line there and you have a game. I got a game that I absolutely guarantee cannot lose.
Yeah, I don't care about any of these games.
All right. We're starting out tonight. We have a Thursday nighter. And they go all the way. Do they have a Monday night game this week? I believe they do.
They used to. I know last year they were.
Although it's not listed here on this odds chart.
Ravens, Commanders, Monday, August 21st.
Okay. All right. Now we have that. We know about the Ravens, 24 straight preseason wins. Very dicey in this last one, though. Huh? They were barely able to get out of it. The goose was rolling over in his grave there. Thinking, Johnny boy, it's over. It's over, Johnny. It's over. You would have to applaud John Harbaugh, though. I mean, should you applaud him or sit there and wonder what's wrong with this guy? Or is it just arbitrary luck that they've won 24 consecutive preseason games?
I mean, I don't think it's luck. He definitely gives a shit. Like, he definitely cares about the score in a way most coaches don't. You're not winning that many times in a row without it mattering to you, like 100%.
What are they doing? I saw some teams blitzing late in games in week number
Oh
one.
my God, are you kidding me?
Did the Falcons throw a couple of blitzes at the Dolphins?
I presume if he's throwing pick sixes and fumbling at the end of the game, then yes.
Like the end of the game. I thought McDaniel was going to come out and punch the Falcons coach. Late in the game, right? Didn't they just lay out one of the Dolphin? Thompson was in there, Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, he sucks.
And he was just flattened like a pancake. I mean, rolled over. And as we say, flatter than a Parisian runway model, just whoosh, impaled in the ground. And it was on a blitz or some kind of corner blitz the guy ran at the end of a preseason game in week number one. If you're Mike McDaniel, don't you come across the field and say, you crazy motherfucker, what is wrong with you? But instead, he waxed philosophical after the game, started quoting Nietzsche. It was incredible. All right, so we have the Eagles tonight against the Browns. We kind of touched on this earlier in the program, Lubie, and you're wondering what will be the position. Stefanski, the Browns coach, is an advocate of winning in the preseason, is he not?
You would think.
I believe that that has been something that people have figured that is established. All right, they're 3.5-point dogs to the Eagles. You can't imagine what Jalen Hurts. He does not sniff the field, does he tonight?
Oh, no.
Coming off and he was sort of banged up at the end of last year, Jalen Hurts. It was questionable, whether the injuries impaired him in the Super Bowl. If you're the Eagles, you're taking zero chances. You probably think that you have this thing in the bag, no? And that Jalen Carter kid, that would be the guy to watch, right? Interior lineman, dropped down to number 9 in the draft. And the Eagles, did you see them? I mean, they couldn't have been any more thrilled, and they got this guy. And what wasn't his deal where he was in that car incident in Georgia? Where 2 people died.
Yes, and he fell back. He would have been the top 3 pick.
Yeah. They were talking, the pre-draft pundits were talking about him going number 2.
Yeah.
And fitting even in between the quarterbacks, Stroud and Young, that were going to go, that eventually did go 1-2. And then the surprise was what? Richardson was number 4 overall pick? 4, Quattro, ladies and gentlemen. So, and his Carter fit right in there. And he appears to be a monster. I saw him on a couple of clips. Highlights from last week's Eagles game, and he was just a destroyer on the interior of the defensive line. Now, maybe going against backups, but he's a rookie, as green as he could be, yet played for a professional organization, the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't know whether the Bulldogs are better overall than even the Eagles, right?
No.
Well, no, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Bulldogs could have
but
done that.
Carter is a monster. Like, he's just going to fit right in. They lost one of their top defensive linemen, and it didn't matter because they picked him.
Yeah. That would be my focal point tonight, is watching this guy, because from what I saw, just of the couple of clips, you were thinking amazing. I mean, not condoning, the possibility that he was. I mean, he was involved in something obviously really stupid.
Yeah,
and it could have been him just as easily, I guess. That ended up, meeting this unfortunate, fate. But I don't know. I mean, what was his? Was he charged with? He wasn't really charged with anything.
No. He was involved in an incident that ended tragically.
Yeah,
so it was weird.
A stupid thing, right? Kids do this.
Place him. It was like hard to just let him off, but he actually did get off. So it was like, so he dropped. He dropped a lot, and he fell in the fucking Eagles' laps.
Character issues. Okay, so we don't have an opinion on this game, do we?
No.
I'm going to go Browns, take the 3 and a hook. Browns on the road against the Eagles, take the 3 and a hook. Yeah. And figure that the Browns have something to establish in this game, whereas the Eagles are essentially coming off the chicken circuit and feeling pretty good about the fact that that they look like and will be the favorite to win the NFC again. Is that an automatic? Does everybody just assume you're going to see? How often have we had an exact rematch in a Super Bowl? from one year to the next. I mean, how far back would you have to go, or has it ever happened?
No, it's
Where
happened.
in consecutive years, the same two teams have played.
Cowboys and Bills did it, but I think we did it more recently, didn't we? Trying to
Same
think.
two teams. Because everybody always assumes that, right? Everybody's thinking it's the Chiefs and the Eagles again. Is that just the essential losing chalk mentality of the average person? Is the human mind so feeble, so weak that we always have to gravitate towards the chalk?
What are the Rams? The Rams won the year before, so it wasn't that we didn't have a repeat.
Yeah.
And before that, we had the Chiefs and the Niners, and I think we had the I can't remember Super Bowls, but I mean, I feel like we've had
exact rematch.
Close.
Close doesn't count. Exact rematch.
Teams hanging around, but you don't get like the Niners and the Chiefs with the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and both had a chance to go this year, but it wasn't an exact rematch. The Eagles were in it a few years ago with the Patriots. No, an actual rematch. I don't know if we've had it since the Bills Cowboys in the early 90s. The Bills Cowboys played 2 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. I don't know if we've had it since then.
Yeah. This, I guess, gets back to also, and our good friend Jim Sarney just put this up, asking the question, can you bet on the Little League World Series? And would that not be more advantageous to you and the possibilities of your financial wherewithal improving than betting preseason football would be?
You 100% can. I know you can.
Yes. Didn't we have, like the Greek, didn't he have like a massive bet?
Yes.
Some team in the Little League World Series, and he came on, he was saying, fuck that little Johnny Jones. I hope he doesn't make it back from Williamsport. I hope, he never gets it back to Omaha, Nebraska, wherever the hell, whatever shithole he's from. Right? Because he gave up like a home run, and the Greek had big money on one of those Little League World Series games. Is that not the ultimate form of depravity when you're betting Little League World Series? I mean, and think about that, right? I mean, would you bet if your own kid was in the World Series? What would you bet on his team, Lubie? Little Lubie's out there and he's pitching for the Coral Springs Cougars, and you're at the game. Would you bet on it? Would you bet on that game?
No, I'm not. No, again, we made fun of the Greek when he was like all in.
He was betting Little League World Series. He was.
He 100% was, and I didn't understand how.
I mean, if you're betting futures and you're betting Chinese Taipei, you have a pretty good shot to come home with the bacon, don't you? Don't they win every year? Chinese Taipei.
You're doing futures Little League. Oh God.
Little League World Series futures, yeah. Who's going to win in 2024? Trump? Biden? I don't know. All right, so we have no opinion on the Thursday night game, except that we're going to look for this Jalen Carter guy. Anything that you're looking at in this game tonight, or does it matter? Is it of any significance whatsoever?
Like, I wonder if we see Watson a little bit. Like, we may see Watson a little, just because
you believe that
went. And
does he ever regain his previous form?
No, I don't think he's ever great again.
Yeah.
But he can be competent. Like, they have a lot of talent on Cleveland, so I think he can be like. I mean, Chubb and Njoku and the receiving, Mari Cooper, I think, is there. Like, they have talent there. The defense is loaded, and people like Stefanski. So I think he can be competent. I don't know if he's going to be great again. I like right in the middle of his career to not play for like 2 to 3 years. It's hard to recover from that.
Michael Vick syndrome, right? Where you come back. He actually showed flashes when he came back. Got that big fat contract, remember, and then tailed off after that very quickly. I don't know. I mean, Deshaun Watson was underwhelming last year. That's a certainty. It doesn't take a genius to make that observation, which is why I was able to make it. But no, I mean, he was extremely underwhelming last year, was he not? You thought, okay, wow, 11 games, he sits it out. He's coming back, and the Browns, as people, contend, had some talent on the offensive side of the ball, did they not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway, but we'll see. Deshaun Watson, you're looking for Deshaun Watson tonight, and I am looking for the Browns to cover 3 and a hook on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's get to the game. This one is kind of interesting. Do we bet against the Jets in every game? The Jets shellacked. Who'd they play? Carolina in the first week. Well, they already had a game. They had the Hall of Fame game. And
Yes.
that's a betting angle. That's a big betting angle, Lubie, of preseason football.
Yes, the Greek always talks about that. Ken as well.
Take the team that played in the Hall of Fame game, and even if they lost, which, what did they lose? Did they lose like 6-3 to the Browns in that game? It was like a really
it was stupid.
boring game. Yeah. But bet the shit out of them the second week. I don't know how the Browns did, but the Jets, they shellacked Carolina, I believe, 27-0, second week of the preseason after playing in the Hall of Fame game, having a leg up on exhibition games. So did they just mail one in this time against the Buccaneers, who have a quarterback battle going on? Has that been decided yet? You have what? Baker Mayfield.
I mean, I think eventually it'll be Mayfield because Kyle Trask is not an NFL quarterback.
Kyle Trask has been a disaster, catastrophic.
He's not a backup. He's not a practice. He's like Thompson. He's a guy that's not going to play in the NFL. So Baker Mayfield, just because of his past, will end up getting the job. But they're 100% targeting Caleb Williams. They're like this year's Caleb Williams.
You say the Buccaneers are, going to suck for whatever it is. I mean,
yeah, they're going all in on Williams. I mean,
what rhymes with Caleb?
Those are the two guys you have going for quarterback. I mean, come on. And they're older now. Their defense is not what it was. The running game is going to be a disaster. Mike Evans is not what he once was. Yeah, that team is going to be.
Really all right. Bad. So, and the Jets have been featuring Hack Wilson, who has been brilliant. I mean, absolutely amazing so far in the preseason and in practice. You would think that Wilson was the guy they brought in, and that Rodgers, the aging veteran, was being phased out for the kid instead of just the opposite. How weird is that, too, that the New York teams are always going in the opposite direction, where, instead of bringing in the young kid that's going to, put Peyton Manning on the bench, they're bringing in the Peyton Manning that should be on the bench. Well, no, I mean, Rodgers has shelf life, you would have to think, at least a year or two, or will he be so destroyed by the offensive line that he, too, will be left to wonder for the rest of his life, how the hell did they ever draft Mekhi Becton in the first round? This fat piece of shit.
Becton's injury problems. The guy, if he had stayed healthy, was going to be a top NFL offensive lineman. He just got hurt literally the first 3 years of his career. Like at some point, you can't come back from the injuries.
They're optimistic here. No offensive line, no problems. The Jets' offense dominated 7-on-7s, Lubie. When Aaron Rodgers went 3 for 3, Zach Wilson went 3 for 4, and Tim Boyle even got in there and went 3 for 4.
Yeah, when you
alternating one snap at a time.
Then when you take away the defensive line and the need for an offensive line, it looks great. I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm sure Marino.
While counting Mississippi's, Aaron Rodgers was able to complete 3 of his 4 passes, including 1 for a touchdown, a brilliant toss in the red zone to Garrett Wilson. Unbelievable.
That's not how football is played.
This is what you have to go on. All right, so we can't formulate an opinion on that one, you're saying. What do you think? I mean, give me an idea. Which way are you leaning here? Would you go with the Buccaneers trying to establish their quarterback position?
I'd go Jets. I think your strategy of last week, or was it the Hall of Fame?
Applies even more heavily this week?
Your Zach Wilson strategy where so it was what? It was the Hall of Fame. We didn't use it.
We blew that in the Hall of Fame game.
We used it on the Hall of Fame game, and we should have used it last week. I think you're going to see a lot of Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson thinks he's doing something by playing well now, which he's not, because no matter what he does, Rodgers is going to start. But I think he's like Vin and Vigor, and he thinks he's proving everyone wrong by playing well in a time period that doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, this is one thing about the preseason. It does matter to him because at the very least, he becomes a hot trade commodity.
They could trade him.
I don't know. I mean, what the Jets' financial situation, he's under a favorable contract by quarterback standards, having he's in his third year now? Third year or second year?
No, this will be year 2. Last year wasn't last year?
Was he a rookie year in last year? Yeah.
Last year was his rookie year.
Okay.
No.
All right. So he was a disaster, last year. Looks brilliant so far this year. And
this is a 3, right? Because he was in the Trevor Lawrence, right? He was in the Trevor Lawrence.
That's what I want to say. It was year number 3.
This year, Lawrence was under Urban for a year, and he almost fucking ruined him. And then last year was with Peterson.
Didn't he regress? I mean, last year, that was part of the thing, was that this is going backwards. and we can't afford to have it spiral anymore further into the darkness.
Year 3.
And so they went to the darkness and grabbed Aaron Rodgers. But if he looks really good, I mean, it helps the Jets out. But there will be some team that's thinking they need a starter at some time. Maybe not even this year. He sits the bench there and does a Don Strock there with the little clipboard there and says, "Hey Don, you want me to get some more water for you?" Okay. But I mean, you could make a career like that. I would imagine his ambition would supersede the idea that he wanted to be a backup to Aaron Rodgers for a couple of seasons. So if he lays out something that really looks good, and everybody says, "Whoa," I mean, maybe we have to reevaluate our opinion of this kid. He seems to have figured out whatever it was that was plaguing him in the past. He does himself a big service. So you're saying go ahead and fire it off on the Jets.
I think regular season, your theory's actually right. I think the Jets are going to get highly over bet and highly over, like the spreads are going to be weird for the Jets. Preseason, I could actually see Zach Wilson giving so much of a shit that maybe he is playing for his career. I don't know. I don't think they're getting rid of him anytime soon because they need some kind of a backup. So if he looks good, they're just going to keep him. But
lock of the century then, Jets.
I can see them giving a shit in the preseason. Like I can see Zach Wilson like fucking dominating. And
all right. Robert Saleh, I mean, I saw a couple of clips again from Hard Knocks. I mean, he's laying it on these guys.
He's too much. My problem with him is he's like the anti-McDaniel. Like he's so intense all the time. Like okay,
a young Vin Diesel could play Robert Saleh, no? In the movie, the Robert Saleh story. Young Vin Diesel, not the bloated Vin Diesel that's out there now, but the young guy would have to get a little more of a tan. All right. Well, I mean, that was not meant in that. I mean, Vin Diesel's kind of pasty looking, is what I meant to say.
Yes, Vin Diesel.
There you go. Cancel. I mean, between a Virgin Mary and that comment. Oh my God, Defo. Was he need a tan? Yeah. The guy's half black. What are you talking about? He's of Arab descent, though.
He's Egyptian or Middle Eastern.
Something like that.
Fashion, yeah.
All right. You can tell by the pointy shoes. There you go. You want to stereotype something. All right. So where are we going? And we have the Dolphins. One last one here, Lubie.
Texans.
The Dolphins and the Texans. The Texans are favored by 3 against the Miami Dolphins. You would have to expect an upgrade in the play of one Michael Q. White, would you?
Yes,
not?
I think White will be better. I think you'll see less of Thompson, more of White in this game, and that's an upgrade. I think Ken's C.J. Stroud strategy that he used for last week will actually apply to this week. Because Stroud, who was supposed to play a lot last week, didn't.
Yeah.
And I think he will play a lot this week, and he's horrendous. At least right now, he's horrendous.
Error prone, yes.
The Dolphins' defense, that's the one thing, no matter what happened, their defense did look good last week. Now, maybe it was because the Falcons suck. I don't know. Their defense, I think, is legit. So, a
little more time for the starters. 1 game under their belt. Lackluster performance there against the Falcons.
Could go Dolphins in this one because I don't know if they give a shit, but McDaniel is starting to hear a lot of chirps.
Yeah.
Their offense hasn't looked good in practice. So I think he's going to want their offense to show some signs in this fucking game. So, yeah, I guess Dolphins. I guess I could see Dolphins in this game. Stroud will get like a half.
So we have the 3-team parlay. Oh, no, you weren't in on the Browns. I would stay out of that game. I wouldn't know what to do with that.
I think the Browns. I think Stefanski's going to want to show something.
Yeah.
Even if the preseason doesn't show.
Yeah, and the Eagles are just sitting there resting on their
show.
laurels right now. They don't need to do anything. Just stay off the field. All right, the Jets Buccaneers. You like the Jets laying 2.5? They've been fighting also. They've been playing these tandem practices. So they've been kind of simulating games or whatever in these scrimmages, and they've been fighting to the point where one of the Jets coaches got knocked out.
Oh, jeez.
The 3 knockdown rule was in effect for Tony Oden, who got carted off the field because he got in the middle of one of these brawls that took place during the practice sessions. So that's a little heated there. So maybe the Jets want to, show what they can do in that game. I'm going to go ahead and agree with you on that, Lubie. And the Dolphins and the Texans, you should get a little sharper offensive play out of the Dolphins in this game. No, they were inept offensively, although they didn't. That's not a fair statement. They did move the ball.
The first 3 drives. Thompson, they did nothing. Thompson
was Alabadani-esque, yes.
The first 3 drives with Mike White, they moved the ball really well. They couldn't finish. He wouldn't go for a field goal. He kept going for it, which is fine. I don't need Jason Sanders practicing a 20-yarder. But
no, that's fine. I mean, you would rather run a 4th and 1 play in that spot.
Yeah, it's fine.
Even if it fails.
I don't care. It's preseason. But
yeah,
they just failed 3 times in a row inside the 5. So that
hurts your total.
You would think they'd be better at that this time around. Right. Yes.
So we have a 3-team parlay.
Okay.
That's pathetic, Lubie. That we're recommending people bet a 3-team parlay here. I'm sorry. I apologize for the show. I really do. We are trying to lead you down such a sordid path that you would be better off betting the Little League World Series, knowing nothing about any of the teams, knowing that you were betting on 11-year-olds to go out there. Well, I mean, probably 15-year-olds, depending on the team and the area they're from. How many phony? I mean, Trump should look into this. How many phony birth certificates are being produced in the Little League World Series competition? Especially, I mean, can you really trust? I don't know. There's not a lot of faith in what the Chinese government is trying to do to us right now. Can you really trust them, to be honest, about having nothing but 11 and 12-year-olds on their roster? And these Chinese kids you could go see like a 90-year-old guy that's been working in he's owned the same restaurant for like 50 years, and he looks the same as he did when he opened it. No? I mean, that's one thing. These people age extremely well. So could you not have like a bunch of 20-year-olds on the Chinese Taipei team? How do they win every year, Libby? I think everything's on the level in that regard. We invented the game.
We invented the game. I've never ever since Danny Almonte, I've always thought it was a load of garbage.
You know, some American teams, especially one from Staten Island, where the mobsters, after they left New York City, they all had places in Staten Island. You know, there's going to be some kind of fudging of official documents there. It's easy to do. Hey, Chris Christie, right, probably approved of that. Didn't he close the bridge that time when he was pissed about the election results or whatever, or something that happened to him? And we like Christie now because he's the only guy that'll say, hey, listen, this guy's a disgrace. What are you talking about? A disgrace. That doesn't seem to win you any favor there. Everybody's running for second place there. You talk about the wild card. That's kind of what the Republican nomination is boiling down to, because I think why else would you be sticking around when you're getting slaughtered and trounced by Trump unless you figured that he was not going to be there in the end? And if you had some weak total like 9%, like a Mike Pence, you might end up in a White House. Can you imagine? How scary a proposition is that?
Oh, God.
Pence rhymes with dense. Although we do have to credit him with, after 4 years of sitting on the sidelines and not making a peep, all of a sudden he says, this guy's crazy. So we give him credit there. All right, we're coming back with more. We have the 3-team parlay for you and many other things to consider here on the program on the Defo Show. Later on today, Mike Lubitz, the Mike Mayo Show, be from Shenanigans. Tony Segreto is going to make an appearance out there, and it's always a gas when you guys have Patrick Utter, because he'll be all enthusiastic about the Dolphin season coming up.
What I love about Patrick is he always says, I'm not these fans today. I love my team, and then he'll go on for the next 15 minutes to rip the Dolphins, rip everything that they've been the last 20 years. I'm like, I love you, Pat, but I think you are like all the other fans.
Well, he's been around these people for a long, long time, right? Serving up all of that good food and good vibration that he has there at Shenanigans. So they'll be there at 12 o'clock today. We're coming back with more here on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that. It's 8:34.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305 453-9066.
Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go?
Pentangelating. Were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under Capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
I'd imagine you're going to be hearing a lot of that in upcoming trials. Do you think we'll ever see any of these trials transpire in our lifetime, Lubie? Will they actually get into court and start duking it out there with Jack Smith? And
well, the Georgia one's happening. I don't know what the fuck the lady in West Palm Beach is doing, but the Georgia one, that lady's not messing around. They're definitely doing something with that. That's happening.
Yeah. Well, and you have what? You have a different judge, the one in Washington, D.C. She's not messing around either. I'm not sure she's a big fan of these somewhat unflattering statements that the Trumpster has been circulating about her. And the fact that she was now getting, what, death threats from certain MAGA maniacs that were out there. Never a good thing. Not a favorable thing. But what happened to yes, Your Honor, right? You're in front of a judge, Lubie. I mean, how many times are you really going to get up there and just curse the guy out? Or in this case, the woman. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of garbage. And I think at some point
it's fairly prohibitive, yeah.
It's going to run dry. Like at some point, this stupid ass fucking strategy and this idea that being a criminal is a good thing eventually will run him afoul. It just has to. Sorry.
All right. I did a little research here for the program because we were talking about this thing with Michael Oher and the Blind Side movie, which also has taken on a series of developments. This story. Yesterday, I saw an attorney for the, is it correctly pronounced? The Tuohys?
Tuohy, yes.
As in Tuohy.
Like to me, all they're doing is digging their own grave. They're like, whoa, he threatened us. Why did he threaten you, you stupid asshole? Like, if you had done nothing wrong, there would have been nothing to threaten you with, you lying piece of shit.
What kind of piece did they have of this film, which grossed $330 million and somehow won an Oscar? I mean, what a disgrace for Sandra Bullock.
Had 3%. They're saying
they had 3% of the net. I mean, the gross of the movie.
They're saying they didn't. They're saying exactly. They're saying it was 3% of what actually was made money, and they didn't actually make more than $600,000.
It still isn't bad. I mean, wouldn't Michael Oher deserve a piece of that?
And they swear they tried to pay him, and he just said no. And they put the money in a truck. Like all the stuff they did in the movie, they're just trying now. What they don't realize is it's too late, guys. Like. You're lying.
It sounds like Britney Spears and her father, right? Where why is this cat managing her money? How crazy could this woman be?
Well, she's crazy. So that situation is a little hairy because she obviously, if you watch her and follow her, it's clearly clinically fucking.
Something wrong with her. Yeah.
Oh no, she's
that time she shaved her head. You think?
She's lost her mind. She actually is clinically has kind of stuff.
I don't know her well enough.
Or isn't
make
that?
A judgment.
Or is fine, or had a long NFL career, or has handled his finances well, or never needed these people to do any of the bullshit that they did.
Yeah.
Never. And didn't ask.
And he said the portrayal also was a little bit weak. I mean, my issue with the movie was they made Nick Saban look like a good guy, which Quentin Tarantino, had a way of making, people the most heinous of criminals seem likable, right? As he did in Pulp Fiction, where you're thinking, well, these are two cool cats. What are they doing? They're going out there and whacking people and cleaning up the body parts after they, chop them up into little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But they were likable because of the presentation there. Even Tarantino, had he directed Blindside, could not have made Nick Saban look good. It's not possible, or make him a likable character. And he was in the movie. I was looking at the field here, Lubie, that ran against, was up for the nomination for Best Actress that year in 2009 when Sandra Bullock took down the award, surprisingly, for what I thought was, was that character that she played, Mrs. Toohey, that far-fetched that you thought, wow, I don't even know if Viola Davis could pull this off. No, it seemed like a fairly straightforward role, like if Sandra Bullock was in a sitcom on TV, she could have, acted in the same fashion. I don't know. Did it really cause her to, dive deep into her dark inner soul to come up with the characteristics that made this character believable in the movie? What do you think, Libby?
I didn't know until recently that she won an Oscar. And at the time we all fell for that stupid movie and watched it, whatever. But I never was like, that was a Oscar-winning performance.
What a performance, man! Jesus, Olivier, what kind of a chump actor were you? The other nominees that year were Anne Hathaway, who's always okay in movies. Yeah, I don't know that she, is going to scare off Meryl Streep from any, attempts to play deep roles. Rachel Getting Married was the name of the movie. Angelina Jolie in The Changeling, which I did not see.
She's not a good actress.
Melissa Leo in Frozen River. Don't know that movie. Streep was up for a movie Doubt that I did not see her in, and Kate Winslet, who obviously is a very good actress.
You're telling me
for the reader.
What
Helen Mirren was also in the hunt there, but I don't know if she was a nominee.
But you're telling me Streep and Winslet were not better than whatever the fuck
Sandra Bullock did as this stupid, uppity woman who supposedly was just so generous in her humanity that they adopted this kid who they eventually, it turned out, ripped off. What do you think? Who are you believing in this story, Lubie? Orr's claims, what would be the reason for him to make these claims unless they had some foundation in truth? And yet, why? I guess he just discovered that this was the case. Is that true?
Yeah, the little idiot brother is trying to
there's conflicting info out there. There really is.
Showing that he knew, but the texts don't say that he knew. The texts just talk about him threatening them to letting the stuff come out. But he could be referring to the fact that they screwed him. He could be referring to the fact that they screwed him, but still have thought that they adopted him, right? Couldn't he have thought both? And that's why he was hurt, was he thought he was adopted. He thought he was a part of the family.
Yes.
He realized that they fucked him.
They were just using him the entire time.
Both be true. And then recently found out, oh God, not only they fucked me, but they never adopted me.
This was finding out what Joel Osteen was really doing with the money from the congregation. No, an ugly story, I guess it turns out. But the truth of the matter is that the real Oscar should have gone to the director, who and I didn't think the movie was all that much. Was it $1 Million Baby, the last 45 minutes, where you're screaming at the screen for Hilary Swank, just die already, please, Hillary, check out. Anything, right? Even Clint Eastwood, what was kind of hoping that. That movie literally was as sad as watching that whole thing unfold with Jeb Bush and Terry Schiavo.
It was just unnecessary. The whole thing, first of all, they wouldn't start, the chair was not only in the ring, it was like in the ring. Like they would never have allowed when would they have allowed the fight? That was like a big fight. It was like on TV. There was like a whole thing. When would they have allowed, and I get it, it's a movie, but still, even by movie standards, like when would they have allowed the fight to continue with a goddamn chair sitting in like that? It was in the way.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have
even Steve Smoger wouldn't have let that go.
Yeah, it just didn't.
Joe Cortez would have put a stop to that.
It just didn't make
at some point.
Like
the guy who was reffing this fight I was watching last night, which was from several years ago on Showtime, where Sean Porter holds the entire fight and he never even gets a warning. Not one time. He would throw a punch and then wrap his arms around the guy like Ali did with Frazier. Second fight there at Madison Square Garden, where he kept pulling his head down. and holding him, and nothing from the referee. As much as I love Ali, I mean, come on, give Joe a break, huh? He's in there getting hammered, and you're going to allow this to go on the entire 12 rounds? Get out of here! Got to be kidding me. I mean, even the worse, the referee. That's where it became. I mean, so fantasy oriented that you were like, okay, I can't. And then they had. Did they just run out of ideas in that movie? Was that it? It was kind of like one of these shows when we get towards the end, where you're just like, I don't even know if I can talk about any more preseason football. Let's talk about this. How they fucked up the last 45 minutes of $1 Million Baby, which, you know me, I'm going to a movie if it's a boxing movie. I like Clint Eastwood in general. Playing Misty for me was great.
Until then, I liked the movie, but
Dirty Harry.
Even it was already a classic when I saw it, so I had really high expectations and I liked it. And then once I'm watching that scene, I'm like, why is the chair in there? I'm like, oh, they're gonna do something with the fucking chair.
Oh yeah, I mean, you were waiting for Hilary Swank to start screaming, McMahon.
Yeah, like who's gonna go? Oh, don't worry about the chair. Come on, like, and then of course she falls on, and then of course she's paralyzed. Yeah. But then why is she in the bed that long? Like once she was paralyzed and out of it, the movie's over. Like why it was just weird that they just kept it going.
Oh, they kept dragging the thing. Oh my God. You were waiting for some rabbi to come in. Start speaking to her in Hebrew. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely insane. But not as ridiculous. I mean, the Blind Side movie was, I mean, the story itself, it wasn't like you were like, oh my God. I mean, I've never seen a portrayal that had me in such a emotional, extremes as this movie. It was like fairly straightforward, wasn't it?
Well, and then Hugh Freeze, who's not even a good high school coach, then gets the Ole Miss job.
Yeah.
Right around, or like the whole thing, even at the time, reeked of, okay, this family's full of
impropriety,
shit.
Sure.
This family's
They're all full of shit.
It's like they're huge boosters for Ole Miss. The guy's like a high up with Taco Bell, and they try to make Taco Bell a good thing. They're eating Taco Bell every day. What family is giving their kids Taco Bell every day? Like, it was just, I don't know. This whole thing was weird. The movie was, even then, it felt weird. Like, it just felt strange. Like,
yeah, it was ugliness. Anyway, it's a shame to see the story that was kind of a heartening story. This, poor black kid, was taken in by these ritzy, Southern, white supremacists. As it turns out, the guy too, he's in the Klan.
Yeah, yes, I think he was like super.
They got a copy of like David Duke's biography sitting there
what do you
in
mean
the bookshelf.
The other families are like, we need to get one of those. It was like, okay, that's not weird.
This is what's happening in the world today. And then on top of that, I mean, what a disgrace the Academy, is to award that Oscar to Sandra Bullock. What, did they just feel obligated that they had to somehow recognize this story, which turned out to be a phony? The whole thing was a fraud. Unbelievable. All it was a ripoff, scheme, a veritable Ponzi scheme on the part of the Tuohys to enrich themselves even more at the expense of this poor, unsuspecting, gullible young kid. Unbelievable.
Well, I love that they made him slow when in real life he's very eloquent. He's not slow at all.
No, the guy's razor sharp.
Like it's
went on to like a civil engineering degree, 3 years, and then went into the NFL, played there, and now has expansive business interests that are netting him a small fortune every day. Unbelievable. But we're supposed to buy into that. All right, this Messi mania, does it continue, Lubie? Obviously, it's. Has it faded here in town? I mean, because we're just not seeing this guy in front of us every day. They're supposed to have some kind of press conference. Don't you have to start pumping it up a little bit more, Lubie, to keep the flames going?
Yeah, it faded, but now that they're in the finals of this League's Cup and they're going to get back into the MLS action, and they have to pretty much win almost every game to actually make it even a playoffs, let alone a playoff run, you would think.
They are going to win every game from now on. That's another one of our investigative efforts here. Did you get a hold of Katayan on that? Or Jeremy Schaap? Are they willing to look into this? Whether or not there really is. Does a document exist? Does any kind of correspondence exist alluding to the idea that Messi is to go untouched? I've seen that goal again a couple of, dozen more times. I mean, from midfield. Two guys look at the ball as it's going past him going, hello, ball. I mean, like they were Ed Norton in a Honeymooners episode. And it's just rolling, and the goaltender is like standing there in shock. It's still 20 yards from the goalkeeper when he says, oh, maybe I ought to make a move and make it look like I'm trying to make the save.
Well, the goalie's my favorite part because look, guys will take shots out of nowhere and surprise defenders. But the fact that the goalie is in the middle, so you would think if he's in the middle, he
right
still
there.
get over on a ball that's rolling.
Rolling, slowly, not even fast.
The kid dive where they dive, but they just they can't get there. The goalie dive is my favorite part of the thing because it's like, okay.
I mean, Tim Doc Anderson didn't take that many dives at the end of his career. I mean, and he lost to Gastineau.
And then the announcer loses it. It's like, that was not that great of a goal. Like, why are you losing?
That was an embarrassment. I mean, they should have taken it off the scoreboard and immediately launched an investigation into whether or not the game was fixed.
Is there nothing this man can't do? I'm like, of the things Messi's done, that was not that.
That had to be the cheapest, cheesiest goal of Messi's historic career. No?
It was like, okay.
No one scores on that.
No
one. It's impossible.
What are you talking about? The goalie's going to pick it up and roll it to his guy, and they're going to go down the other way. Like, that's not a goal.
The goalie's going to look at Messi and laugh. Say, that's all you got, old man? You have to be kidding me, man. I can't believe they gave you all this money to take shots like that. Even Messi, I mean, he knew that was a gimme. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's kind of like, you dive after the fact.
Yes.
You're like sort of playing with some, maybe your grandson in the water there, and he catches the ball, and you fake like you dove for it.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. Yeah, Messi mania, capturing the country's imagination at levels that we would have to deem unprecedented. All right, we're going to come back and wrap things up here on the Defo Show later on today. Mike Mayo's lunchbox from Shenanigans. You say it's prohibitive if I pop in there at the beginning of the show?
It's just it's already hectic because Pat doesn't really have radio decorum, so he just
he goes right after it, man, which is great. Yeah.
I love the guy, but he just talks the entire time.
It'd be good with Segreno. Yeah, all right.
Rather limit, because that's the thing is you're there, so either you're not talking at all, so then it's like half the screen is cut off for you to just sit there.
Production quality would be improved if I
can't
just scratch.
Okay. Us because it's shrunk, and it's fine. 'Cause I'm not going to get on either way. It's going to be the three of them regardless.
Yeah.
So I don't care. It's just if you want to come out, that's fine.
No, it's cool. Yeah, no, we got stuff to do today, right? I mean, that's happening also. So you're going to have to race back, Louie. You're
I'm still
you're all over the board here today. All right, we're going to come back with more. We'll wrap things up here on this Thursday edition of Defo Show. Tomorrow, a Degenerate Friday, and we'll have everybody on board, I believe. When is Mark Lawrence going to start joining us? Do we know?
I'm going to try and get him next week because you have next week is week 0.
Next week is week 0. Okay. All right, so and that'll be good. I mean, he has opinions on these preseason games. He does have theories. He has a couple of things that he can quantify there with that tremendous computer base that he has of all of this numerology. I wonder if he's into Stuff Plus. You think he's where he would have to be, no? Mark Lawrence? I mean, he's on top of all of that stuff. Anyway, we'll have our full complement of handicappers, and that's coming up tomorrow, 7 o'clock here on South Florida Live and all of our other various platforms, which we're hoping begin to expand as early as this afternoon. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Do you anticipate that going well, Lubie? You don't look too happy about it. No? All right. You think it's going to be a disaster? Can we get off a decent 15 minutes and just have the people there say, hey, well, you know what? These guys have some talent.
I hope.
Let's help them out. Or is that our last conversation with these no filter folks? And we need a no filter today, right? Tighter than the Virgin Mary. That wow. I mean, the letters to the station. What was I thinking, Lubie?
I don't know.
This preceded the cancel culture.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. All right, back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Do I throw that out there on no filter just to see if they actually filter it?
Sure.
All right. It's 8:55. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Huh?
Hi, guys. If I could squeeze in two. One is just, can you say with certainty that Jimmy Garoppolo will be on the roster on Sunday?
I can't guarantee that anybody in the world will be alive Sunday, so I can't guarantee who will be on our roster on Sunday. So that goes for all of us.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo, joined by Lubie, on the Defo Show.
Considered a genius by many, we have to reserve any kind of overwhelming praise of Kyle Shanahan's work. You saw the collapse of the Falcons in the Super Bowl there. It was almost impossible to lose that ball game mathematically if you were doing, the permutations on the scoreboard there. There was almost no way that there was enough time for them to blow that lead, and yet they did. Shanahan, that's on him, refused to run the football. And then, that statement about Jimmy Garoppolo, where, no guarantee that the guy's going to be alive today. Could you answer the question, Jimmy? Kyle? That's not an answer. That's an insult, is it not?
Yeah, it was a stupid
something like that. Come on, man. Are we going to get anything less generic out of Mike Norvell when we interview him next week?
Oh no, you haven't been a part of him. I love talking.
He is coach speak generics, but in an enthusiastic and very polite way.
He has a ton of energy, and he's fun to talk to. And every year I've not been able to get one Gator coach in 13 years.
Yeah.
We've only had like 2 coaches. I can get Norvell every year if I want, and multiple times a year if I want,
they're very good like that. That's off the Bobby Bowden.
We had Jimbo, even though Jimbo had a contract. We had Willie. We've always been able to get their guys, which I appreciate. Norvell, just getting him to break character is literally impossible. He says nothing. You leave the conversation excited, and then you're like, okay, what the fuck did he say?
Well, we know he's saying nothing. Much like Howard Beck, we had that challenge with Howard Beck, the basketball analyst. Could we get him to actually crack up for a second at anything that we said? And we finally got him to laugh one time. And then he became, actually, after that, he became a more engaging interview, at least for my money.
Yes.
Because he sort of rolled a little bit with the punches that we were throwing out there. Whereas Norvell, you could say anything. Is he going to do video? That would be interesting.
Video,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's going to be on.
I could stand up and drop my pants and moon the screen, and you couldn't get a chuckle out of Mike Norvell. He would not break from the conversation that he was giving, because and it would be laced with the maybe we're going to go against a bunch of great competition this year, but we're ready to go. Our guys have been practicing; they've been hitting the books, and it's like okay. Great, Mike.
I'm just telling you, he doesn't say anything. I enjoy talking to him, but he says nothing. It's actually almost impressive at how much because he does talk though. He'll talk. Yeah. He responds to every question.
And it's not like he's giving you one-word answers. This isn't some guy that's trying to shine you on and say, hey, listen, I don't want to do this, but since I'm obligated to give you 2 questions, go ahead, fire away.
He's great. He's positive. He is engaging. He'll give you time. I've done 15, 20-minute interviews with him.
Yeah.
He's fun, but he says nothing.
Nothing,
It's
zero.
actually a talent, how little he says.
It's amazing. Yeah. All right. We have to run. Good luck out there at Shenanigans. And I will connect with you later on today on this other thing. And I hope that it goes well, at least well enough. And that, it's on to the future from here. That'll be great. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Also, with a Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Gurgles returns next week, by the way, with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So you challenge players that missed out today, we'll have that for you. And we'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
Can't believe Bullock got an Oscar for that. Did they miss the boat on that movie or what, man? Plus, it turned out to be all a fraud. Unreal. Just fantasy, pure fantasy. It's 9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.